Trump and the Ben Tre girl, Part 2. In the course of history, there are people whose appearance has changed the course of an era. In 1945, Ho Chi Minh stood in Ba Dinh Square, raising his voice to declare independence for the Vietnamese people. A man with a simple appearance, once despised and not appreciated by the great powers of that time, dared to shoulder the dream of freedom of a nation. At first, many people doubted his ability, thinking that a small, poor country would find it difficult to stand firm against external pressure. But with will and determination, he gradually asserted his role in history, until the whole world could not deny his stature. Similarly, decades later, in 2016, another person also stepped onto the political stage amid the skepticism of millions of people. That is Donald Trump, a daring businessman, not a traditional politician, but with a spirit of defiance and self-confidence, he won the position of US president. At first, everyone was skeptical about his ability to take on this role. They suspected that he had no political knowledge and did not understand the pressures and responsibilities of being the leader of a great power. But like Ho Chi Minh years ago, Trump did not waste time explaining or justifying. For him, the only way for the world to recognize his ability was to simply do what he thought was right, what he wanted most. And he did it, letting his actions speak for himself and his role. Two people with different circumstances and times, but sharing the same spirit of determination to assert themselves, ready to face great challenges. One is a symbol of the spirit of national liberation. The other is an image of individual determination in politics. Each has left its own mark, and their stories, when looked back, make one unable to help but reflect on the strong rise in history. Now a former president, Trump, is facing great difficulties in his second election campaign. Surrounded by criticism, media pressure, and opposition from political opponents, he feels like he is participating in an unequal war, similar to what the US military experienced in Vietnam. When he felt like he was about to collapse, he happened to read a document about the Vietnam War and noticed the striking similarities between the current situation and the strategies of the Vietnamese army during the war. He sat alone in his office at night, staring at the negative news surrounding him. Pressure from the media, the opposition, and even those in his own party made him feel isolated. In his despair, he happened to see a book about the Vietnam War on the bookshelf. Curious, he opened it and turned to pages about the strategies in fierce battles such as ***** AP back **** and **** tet Mao than *****. The tactics in these battles suggested to him ways to get out of his difficult situations. ****, the first knot and lesson from the AP back battle ****. He was in big trouble when the media continuously reported unfavorable news and his opponents constantly criticized him. Feeling like he was being beaten up, he recalled the AP back battle, 1963, where the Viet Cong, with a smaller force, still succeeded thanks to flexible defense tactics. The development of the AP back battle. In the AP back battle, the Viet Cong had only a few hundred men but took advantage of the dense jungle terrain and flexible defense capabilities, organizing ambushes when the opponent approached, creating surprise. The US and South Vietnamese armies were having difficulty deploying their forces because of the dense jungle terrain. It was a misty morning over AP back, 1963. The roar of helicopter engines echoed in the distance, tearing through the quiet mist, signaling the landing of the South Vietnamese army with the support of US forces. The plan was an overwhelming attack, destroying the Viet Cong forces entrenched there. Waves of helicopters landed, paratroopers spread out, advancing deep into the area that they believed was just a peaceful village. But deep in the shadows of the forest, inside the dense bushes, the Viet Cong soldiers were preparing for a battle that they knew would not be easy. ****, the Viet Cong army had only a few hundred men, but they had carefully studied every tree branch and bush in the area, taking advantage of every gap in the terrain to create a solid defensive perimeter. As the South Vietnamese army approached, a series of loud explosions suddenly rang out. Bullets from the ambush positions were fired in rapid succession, surprising the enemy and giving them no time to react. The Viet Cong soldiers were ready for short but sharp counterattacks, stretching out the enemy, forcing them to divide their forces and move deeper. ****, the dense jungle terrain and muddy fields were fully exploited by the Viet Cong soldiers, rendering the US Army's armored vehicles useless. Artillery and mortar shells rained down on the surrounding area, but could not erase the fortified bunkers. The Viet Cong gunmen took advantage of the darkness of the forest and their ability to move flexibly to constantly change their firing positions, making it impossible for the US and the Republic of Vietnam forces to know where they were headed. The young soldiers, their clothes covered in mud, moved quickly, entering and exiting small bunkers, then suddenly appearing at another location to open fire. Screams and the deafening explosions of grenades and artillery echoed everywhere, as if every bush contained a warrior. For them, every meter of AP back was a front line that they would never give up. The US and the Republic of Vietnam forces gradually became exhausted and disorganized. The Viet Cong's small but continuous ambush tactics gradually weakened their confidence, and they eventually retreated in confusion. The Battle of AP back ended in a Viet Cong victory. This was more than just a battle. It was a symbol of tenacious fighting spirit, a lesson in indomitable will, a strong affirmation that strength lies not only in weapons and technology, but in determination and appropriate tactics. The victory at AP back shocked many people, and history recorded it as an indelible mark, as if the battle had happened only yesterday. The battle demonstrated that a small force with strong will and flexibility could change the whole war. And from here, the world began to look at the situation of the Vietnam War with different eyes. Mr. Trump applied it to his situation. He decided not to confront the major media directly. Instead of trying to control everything, he focused on social media platforms where he could convey his message directly to the people. In this way, he created a new defensive line, like the Viet Cong defended AP back, and gradually restored support from the people. Compare the context of South Vietnam and Ukraine today. South Vietnam in the 1960s to 1970s was like a complex battlefield, where many international powers confronted each other, competing for influence and control. Both the South then and Ukraine today were lands where foreign and domestic powers met in a protracted war. In the context of Vietnam, the United States played a key role in supporting the Republic of Vietnam government, providing weapons, military forces, and economic support. The South Vietnamese army and people had to fight not only to survive but also to protect their independence amid international tensions, just as Ukraine was trying to protect its territory from Russian aggression. The war in South Vietnam was not simply a civil war but also a battlefield of confrontation between major world powers, similar to the intervention of other countries in Ukraine today. The people of the South at that time had to endure fierce battles, their lives were turned upside down, and the large military presence made this place not only a land of battles but also a place to test new tactics and weapons, similar to the way modern weapons were tested in Ukraine. Although South Vietnam at that time was strongly supported by the US government, to the people, that government was still just a political tool to gain power. The money and weapons that the US poured in were not intended to build a real peace, but to ensure control and maintain influence. As is currently the case in Ukraine, international support is also mainly aimed at testing weapons and consolidating the power of the Zelensky government rather than for the long-term benefit of the people. In that line of thought, Mr. Trump realized something profound. In wars, the people who suffer the most are always civilians. It was the image of South Vietnam in the past and the painful plight of Ukraine today that urged him to be determined. If he could become president again, he would try to end this state of war. For him, stopping the suffering of the people and bringing peace is the first thing. Something that he understands, although simple, is the biggest challenge in politics.